Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage
Yes.
in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that.
It's beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the
This
real
is not a
deal
green screen. This is
behind
the
us.
real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And hi, everyone. We're here at the Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage
Yes.
in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to
Look at
that. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hi, everyone. We're here at the Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage
Yes.
in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to
Look at
that.
this. Beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the
This
real
is not a
deal
green screen. This is
behind
the
us.
real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is, I like margaritas. That doesn't mean I'm voting that way. We'll see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see.
I might have
you,
something
kid?
else to drink. I don't even
That's
know.
right. I usually drink beer. So who's our guest tonight?
We have a couple, actually. We have Leslea Snyder, who's a former trustee and former aide for Governor Cuomo.
Okay.
She is a
knowledge.
political wonk. She knows everything about anything political, so she's going to be able to help us with the, closely contested races, both, in New York State, locally, throughout the country.
Excellent.
So, she's going to be a real guru. She's the specialist. That's why I asked her to come.
Right. And then the famous, and I do mean that in every way, Famularo, the drummer, the educator, the world traveler, who can add just such a realness to the world right now.
Yeah, well, because I think, one of the things I think we should be talking about is the impact that this election season has had
right
on us.
here.
Well, locally, as a society, and Dom, I think he's going to bring that to the table because, he's such a touchstone for me. The guy is just, so spiritually connected and motivational. So I love to hear anything that man has to say.
So we'll be live at 7:30. By that time, we'll be well past, hopefully, the rhetoric, because the rhetoric's over. This is the due day.
Yep.
We might even know who's ahead. It's going to be fun. We're going to make it fun, and I look forward to it.
It's either going to be a really long night or it's going to be a short night. Well, we shall see.
Look forward to it. I'll see you tonight, 7:30, Facebook Live. Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the real deal.
This is not a green screen. This is the real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is, I like margaritas. That doesn't mean I'm voting that way. We'll see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see.
I might have something else to drink. I don't even know.
That's right. I usually... Hi, everyone. We're here at the Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the real deal.
This is not a green screen. This is the real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is, I like margaritas. That doesn't mean I'm voting that way. We'll see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see.
I might have something else to drink. I don't even know.
That's right. I usually drink beer. So who's our guest tonight?
We have a couple, actually. We have Leslea Snyder, who's a former trustee and former aide for Governor Cuomo.
Okay.
She is a political wonk. She knows everything about anything political, so she's going to be able to help us with the closely contested races, both, in New York State, locally, throughout the country.
Excellent.
So, she's going to be a real guru. She's the specialist. That's why I asked her to come.
Right. And then the famous, and I do mean that in every way, Famularo, the drummer, the educator, the world traveler, who can add just such a realness to the world right now.
Yeah, well, because I think, one of the things I think we should be talking about is the impact that this election season has had on us.
Here.
Well, locally, as a society, and Dom, I think he's going to bring that to the table because, he's such a touchstone for me. The guy is just, so spiritually connected and motivational. So I love to hear anything that man has to say.
So we'll be live at 7:30. By that time, we'll be well past, hopefully, the rhetoric, because the rhetoric's over. This is the due day.
Yep.
We might even know who's ahead. It's going to be fun. We're going to make it fun, and I look forward to it.
It's either going to be a really long night or it's going to be a short night. Well, we shall see.
Look forward to it. I'll see you tonight, 7:30, Facebook Live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our coverage right here in Port Jeff of the presidential election 2016. I can't believe we pulled this off. I'm very proud of the people at this panel today. I really can't. We are breaking so many boundaries today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will introduce them in a second, but first, again, I want to thank
our sponsor, our host, Danfords Hotel and Marina. We are in the Wave Restaurant, and we are joined by Mayor Margot Garant. How are you?
Great. How are you?
My good friend Dom Famularo, world-renowned drummer,
Thanks, Kev.
enthusiast of life.
Absolutely.
I'll stop there, right?
Absolutely.
And newly met Leslea. Hi, Leslea Snyder, who is, I would say today, after our brief conversation, an expert in political conversation.
Political
at least.
wonk.
The wonk, I like that word.
It's my hobby. It's my life.
It certainly is. Thank you guys so much. And you know what? For you local people out there that are tuning in, I see a couple of you are already tuning in, please comment back to us. We want to make this show informal. We want to make it fun. There's been enough rhetoric for the last 18 months to drive people off the cliff. And really what we want to get down to is sort of a local conversation on what this election means. And quite honestly, I want to dispel some myths. And I want to. My first question is to you, Leslea. Like the electoral vote thing that we talked about, that I want you to explain to our listeners, our viewers, what that. You said to me something that blew my mind today. We're not actually voting for a candidate today.
Right.
We do vote for a candidate. So they're kind of parallel conversations, and the connector is the populace. So when people go into the polls, they'll look at their ballots. And a lot of times you'll see them on the presidential, and it'll say electors in front of your presidential nominee's name. So that's very important because you're choosing them to be your delegates. So when a campaign manager says, you know, we're going to get to 270, which is half of the 538 for the Electoral College votes, those are electors. So when they go to conventions, and, you know, we saw so much enthusiasm in the DNC and the RNC in Cleveland and Philly. Yeah. And if there's one thing we know is that New York had state status as the home state in any convention, which either party. We have a New York nominee from both. So they had the House in both Cleveland and Philly. But when you're looking at it, those delegates, when you see the signs and they see the states, those are the delegates because they have to vote for their candidate. Those are people, and they're elected by us. So when we put our names or fill in our bubble sheets now, we put it in for those electors.
Right. So my friend from Florida said, you know, why are you bothering voting, for example? That it's already predetermined. Is it predetermined, or does the vote really count?
It does count, but
the day of, I mean.
The electors are people. So we had a very energetic season. So when you're looking at people that were never Trump, or you look at people that were really supportive of Bernie Sanders. And I was at the Democratic National Convention in Philly. It was very energized. A lot of Bernie Sanders people, they were very disheartened. So those delegates said, I will never pledge my vote for Hillary Clinton because we wanted Bernie. So every now and then there's a year where an elector, they call it the faithless.
Yeah,
they will not go the party route and use the popular vote. It's very random, very rare, but it's not uncommon. This year we have about 11 or 12 electors that say we're not towing the party line for either candidate,
right,
depending on how it goes. So when John Podesta says we're going for the 270, we're going to win the 270, that's the ticket. That's really,
that
when you
doesn't
look at it,
necessarily mean that that's the popular vote. I think that's the...
It's a connector,
right,
though. So you have the Electoral College and you
right,
have the popular vote, because really what the Founding Fathers wanted to make sure is that candidates didn't just go to big cities and forget about the rural communities.
Yeah.
Because that's not where the populace is. So when you're looking at all those breakdowns, they wanted to make sure that it was evened out, fanned out, and that's why the 538 mirrors Congress. It's the number of your senators, 2 U.S. senators, and your number of congresspeople.
Right.
Margot, I got a question for you.
Oh, boy.
You know, do you feel like a child of divorce this election?
Why do I get that question? You skip right over
Answer the
to
question.
me with the child divorce question.
Her parents are
No.
married.
Why would
She
I feel like
wouldn't
a child
know.
of divorce?
You
I don't
don't.
even know why you... What? No.
Okay. How
What is
about
that?
yourself?
Well, first of all, I got to start by saying I saw all these lines out in the streets today in Port Jefferson. I thought they're like, is there a new iPhone that's being delivered?
It's a record turnout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that people are out there and they are involved. If anything that has come out of this is that we are involved as a country in the spirit of what our forefathers wanted.
But angrily involved.
But you know, even it's always been angry. You know,
Has it?
I think every election.
I
goes
think
back
we're
to
seeing a
anger.
little extra strain of anger.
Extra strength anger?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a little...
By the way, we have a live audience here, Everybody should know we have a live audience. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So awesome. Next time we'll go multi-camera. You know? Okay. Corey wants me to work the knobs. I will. Okay. Move a little closer to the mic. Is what our production team is talking about. That's fine.
And there is anger. There is anger.
I mean,
Closer to the mic, Dom.
you sense it, you feel it. I think people are, looking for change. They're looking for, they're not happy with the current administration. So it's usually easy for somebody from the outside to come in and, challenge, what's happening. The last 8 years have been difficult years. We've had to rebuild an economy. But, I think that this is, if you will, an election of the haves and the have-nots, maybe. I mean, there's a revolution going on there. So I think it's a little extra hyped up. And I think we're seeing that right now. It's real close, and the numbers are coming in. It's very close out there right now.
The division of what is happening in this country, and people speak about the division. Well, in our lifetime, I can see that division. But imagine what the division was like during the Civil War. Talk about division of what these people went through and what Lincoln had to do to hold this union together. So it comes down to leadership. Will we find the right leadership that will bring us together and satisfy what we are experiencing now with this anger? That's going to be the real question that we're going to see in these next few months.
And I think you can also look at it in this way. Is there anger? I mean, yes, the tenor of the people. You can talk to anybody wherever they are in this country, and I've talked to many people in other states and in different counties in New York as well. And the general theme was, we'll just have to get through it. We'll just have to get through it.
Well, that's the child of divorce thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
Or, almost, some kind of demise, because people are so passionate. But also, I think it's very telling when you have a Bernie Sanders and you have a Donald Trump that's so anti-establishment. It really speaks to how possibly people when they're looking at their federal standpoint, they haven't been heard.
Right.
So they want someone that speaks like they do. They want someone that is different. They don't want to hear the same canned speeches. And that's passion. And when we have record turnouts, you know what they say? It's not really about voting for a person. It's about voting against another person. Mm-hmm. So this will determine who they're speaking against.
It's really interesting, though, when you look at the polling material, data coming out. We're looking at two candidates that nobody really seems to like.
That's right.
So when you're saying it's voting against somebody, it's really anti-establishment. Voting for establishment.
Or lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
That's really the tenor of this election. We have a couple of comments. Rhonda says, very stressful night. It's like waiting for a baby to be born.
Ooh.
And we don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Or a demon.
That's cute. I like that.
We do know it's a New
Twins?
Yorker.
Oh, it's a New Yorker. Yeah, a New Yorker will be voted into today. A little higher on Leslea. I will do that.
And that's it's the first time ever that we have both of the candidates in the same city. New York City, the Big Apple. So there's a lot of focus on New York, and I think that's a wonderful thing for us here as New Yorkers. It'll be an interesting night in Manhattan.
Oh, absolutely.
Dom brought away a positive. You're eternally positive. That we need to let everybody know. But you brought a positive out. Margot, I'm going to ask you, bring me one positive thing out of this election process.
I think we are getting more voters registered into the polls and getting involved. I think that's always good when you have a record turnout and people getting involved. And
but that was Dom's answer.
Broadening the base.
You got to give me your own answer.
When did you say that? I must have been in my orphan corner. Okay.
But you're 100% right. That's what it is. It's literally bringing people out that may have not been involved that are now getting involved, and this is absolutely great.
Okay, yeah. But I want 3 total. Give me a positive of this process. I know you got one.
Me?
Yeah.
You know what? There were so many people in my polling place by 7 a.m. that I was inspired. It was nice seeing people vote for the first time. It was nice seeing people send in their absentee ballots. It was good having people energized and in charge. And honestly, for me, I just really hope that a momentum, not with anger, but with passion. And I think it just really says that people love their country and they want to help affect change. And I think if we can get them to do it on the local levels and continue, not just in presidential years, but have them be more engaged, because I think being in the local level, being in a village, being in a county, being in the state races, it's really important for people to get out the vote in those times, because that's really where you see your elected representatives.
Does our republic stay together? I mean, we're a baby, right, in those terms? We're a baby country, right?
Well,
we're not, because we've had the Electoral College and the popular vote, since the founding fathers.
240 some odd years. Yeah. So
we're not a full democracy. We are on the local levels. We are not in the presidential and federal. So I think that's the difference. We're a republic. I think we stay as a republic. When I hear everyone telling me we're going to get through this, they want to be unified. They don't want to see all the unrest that we've seen with the divisiveness in the last 2 years even.
Margot, there was times that you and I were frustrated with the debates, very frustrated that we never really actually got the policy. My number one thing that I always talk about is the 20 trillion in debt, which I think is impassively hard to fathom, and we fix it by printing more money. What are the debate points that were never really brought out and could have been talked about a lot more, and actually brought out to the American people for them to decide upon? Because a lot of that never came out as a real discourse.
I mean, you would like to hear more about their tax reform plans. I mean, I think Secretary Clinton does have a lot of policy that she wanted to put forth. It is up on the website. I think when you were trying to get policy out of the candidate Trump, it was really difficult to get any kind of policy from candidate Trump. It was more all about his character. So I'd like to hear more about what their plans would be to fix the economy. How they're going to get more people employed, more jobs into the cities where they've lost the coal industry. And Secretary Clinton did talk about green energy. I mean, I think that's a great industry that's bringing a lot of new jobs to a lot of new areas. I also but there's concern about what's going to work and what doesn't work, and it's not easy. Even when you're running a little tiny village, you're dealing with so many agencies and so many layers of rules and governance, and so I think that people coming from the outside sometimes, well, how come you can't do this and how come you can't do that? And it's like it really is not as easy as it looks. And my concern is that you have a guy coming with no experience whatsoever. He's an entrepreneur. It's completely different in the private sector. So, that's going to be, if Trump wins this election, there's going to be a huge, chasm of time between, actually getting things done. That's, it's.
But Obama couldn't get anything done, too, right? Because there was infighting.
Well,
not anything, but I mean, there's always going to be infighting. I want you to talk about that, by the way. We talked about that's an important point. I'm going to come back to that.
I was going to say, I think Obama got an amazing amount done, given the fact that there
was infighting in the Congress.
Obstacles that he had. He did an amazing amount of effort in those obstacles that he had.
And there'll be more obstacles.
Imagine if those obstacles were more supportive and bipartisan, even more could have been done. So that's really the balance of what you have here.
So where are we right now? I haven't even looked at the TV. I have no idea where we are. But you talked to me today about the split.
Yes.
That could happen. Let us know.
Oh, you mean the electoral tie? 270
apiece? It could be a possibility. Yeah. I mean, we have to look at some of the earlier voting states where, we close our polls at 9. We don't get a lot of projections, with our 29 electoral votes for New York. We really have to start looking at it. So he won Indiana so far, Donald Trump. He won Kentucky. He won West Virginia so far. Hillary Clinton won Vermont, which is 3 electoral votes. So when you're really doing that math, we really have to wait for the swing states. And those are really big. Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania. And all of those should close between 7 and 8 p.m. So once we get those returns, I think we're going to see some different numbers. Now, when you're looking at the Electoral College and the 270, and that's really what they do. They look at a map and they project which numbers are which. And, California has 55 electoral votes. So you win California, fantastic. But when you're really looking at these states and these breakdowns, and what if someone has the popular vote, but they don't have the Electoral College number, or it's split?
Right.
Our viewers can see in back of what's happening
24-3.
right now.
Right.
See this?
So he won another state.
Is that what? I didn't see it. What
That's
did it say?
Florida.
Clinton has Florida.
Well, she's leading in Florida right now.
Okay.
You're getting like trickles. You're in
So
the
when
teens as far as the returns are right now.
And then you also have to think about, so even if it goes, the popular vote goes to Donald Trump and Hillary has the 270 to win today, that's projected. Electoral College, they don't go into committee to vote and cast their votes until December 19th. And then at that point, they have to open it like the Academy Awards.
Right.
And Joe Biden, the vice president, will open that because there's no inaugural yet. And then he reads them. And then we see. So, I mean, if you really want to come down to the wire, but everybody wants us to be over today, and I don't blame them, you can really do that. Thomas Jefferson was elected in 1801 by the Electoral College. So it has happened. Al Gore in 2000.
This is,
I wouldn't have done the show without Leslea. I'm very serious.
Thank God I'm not good in sports.
I'm good at business. I'm good at this. But thank you for enlightening me.
Well, look at what happened with Gore and Bush.
Exactly.
I mean, that intensity of what went down. I mean, Gore had the popular vote.
He won it by 540,000 votes.
That's a lot of people.
And the breakdown went into Bush's favor. I think it was, I have the number somewhere. I think he got 277 or something.
Yeah.
But that's when the electors really come in and do that work, and it doesn't manage out with the.
Like the only person drinking.
And I think that was a lot about Florida as well. So let's see how Florida does today.
Yeah.
What are you drinking, Mayor Garant?
I have no idea. It's like supposed to be blue, but it's green, and it.
No. What is the name of the
I have no
drink?
idea.
The Hilly.
That's a Hillarita.
Oh, it's a Hillarita.
It's a Hillarita.
Here we go, a Hillarita.
Trump teenies and Hillaritas are being served here tonight at Danfords. Dom, when you travel, and you travel a lot, you firsthand hear what people think of our republic,
Absolutely.
our state, if you will, our state of times. What are you hearing out there? Be honest.
Boy, and I will be honest, because I hear this when I arrive and I performed in over 20 countries this year, and I've got 2 more left. When I land, they look at me and say, "What the heck are you guys thinking about?" The first thing is they just look at us like we're out of our mind. Like, what's going on over there? Everyone looks to America. Everyone looks to America. It's still that way. It was kind of challenging during the Iraq War when I was traveling and when President Bush began this energy of this war, and everyone was confused in the process. And there was a real downside to what they saw as America was a leader by kind of starting this war that they didn't understand. But I must say, when Obama came in and the speech he gave in Germany lit everyone up to give them incredible hope. So there is this ebb of movement that happens with the world as they follow us. And they are looking at us right now. They are analyzing, and they're looking for guidance. They're looking for guidance. You know, Benjamin Franklin had an interesting line. When they came out of writing the Constitution, it was September of 1787. When they came out, a female reporter approached him as he walked out after they had put the Constitution together. And she said, "Mr. Franklin, do we have a republic?" And his answer was, "Only if you can keep it." And that's really kind of what we're seeing right now. Can we keep this republic in the most intense way? Lincoln made it happen, you know, and there's always been that intensity of what it is. So I think the world looks at us by saying, "America, guide us, lead us, show us what you can do. Show us the light." This will be an incredible movement.
Well, that's good to know. Nobody threw anything at you?
No, I'm a good dodger. Let's just say that. Yeah.
And you kept
Very
your
athletic.
you kept your drumsticks where nobody can get to them.
Right.
How many countries do you travel on average a year? So let's just put it out there like that. How many? Where you've
It's
been?
been the
and what you
60
do,
plus countries.
Yeah, I stopped counting at 60, and I'm probably well over 75 countries. This year alone was probably about, I mean, my gosh, I go, next week I'm in Zurich and in Italy. I just came back from Guatemala a few days ago. So I get a chance to travel not only throughout North America and Central America, South America, all throughout Europe. I was in China 3 times this year and experiencing what they experience. When I go by there are thousands of people that are there as I lecture and talk. And they not only want to know about music, about empowering music, but they want to know about America, because America guides them in music, all the music that we have had.
And how do you feel every time you come home?
You know, everybody asks me, what is the most favorite place that you travel to in all of your travels around the world? And I tell them a place that I visit very infrequently, Port Jefferson Village.
Exactly.
When I get here, I love coming home.
Charmaine's loving it.
I come home and I just enjoy the wonderful village that we have, because I can see the real spirit
Well,
of America.
I meant, coming home to the United States of America. When you're traveling to these other countries and you're seeing what happens there, and you come home here, are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I mean, what a beautiful, wonderful country we have.
He knows
Let's
where
just,
his
face it,
Italian
guys.
food is. He knows where to go for it.
It's gratitude at the highest level. My parents always taught me about the understanding of the word gratitude. And when I come back to this country, my grandparents left Italy, a little island Stromboli north of Sicily, to come here in the early 1900s, to come here as typical Italian immigrants, to come here. The streets were paved with gold, the land of opportunity. They came here and they made a better life. They had a better life. It proved itself right. It proved itself right. And every time I travel, when I come back, no matter where I've been, to Sweden, I come back here and I look at this and I say, my grandfather saw it right. They really saw it right. It really is the greatest country. That
You have
the
a
beacon
fan.
of light.
You have a fan here telling you must come to Brazil. Dom. No, Paulo Roberto.
Yes.
Paulo Roberto. So that's it. But you have a question for you, too. Dom's very popular, as I knew. What's Dom's thoughts concerning the Department of Education's standardized testing and the continued assault on music education and the arts?
Ooh.
That one I know you really...
Great question. You know, I have a dear friend of mine, a student of mine, Chad Smith.
Let me say this first.
Yeah.
The Peanut Gallery over there, I want to have a question for Leslea and Margot. Okay, so we'll keep it nice and even.
A great drummer with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad Smith, recently went to Congress and the Senate and gave a talk about music education and the support of music education. About even in his life, he would not have been anywhere had he not had that musical education program. So the fact that we're pulling back these funds from music is, listen, it's no more STEM, it's STEAM. We had to add arts to the level of the balance of education. And this is an important part. I'm an advocate as I travel around the world talking about we need more education in school systems. We have an incredible community here in Port Jefferson. Mike Caravello here. We are one of the top 100 music communities.
We have some
in the
amazing
nation.
kids coming up right now.
Music's
So
important.
it shows the fact that we have these kids coming out, that music education is a major important part of education in anywhere around the world.
Can we get back
Something to report, please. Yes.
How about the senatorial race? How important the Senate race is right now, the control of the Senate, and how that can go. And I'm going to ask the political wonk, if it's 50-50, what happens?
I'm
Who gets to
guessing
tie
you're
the break?
talking about the state.
No.
Or are you talking about the U.S.?
National Senate, U.S. Senate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so right now it's predicted as of 2 days ago, and depending on how our vote counts go out, it would be a Democratic. They would pick up 4 seats in the
And
Senate.
that would be 48-51 or 49 to what is it? It would be 49-51.
I'm not great in math either, but yeah. So we'll have to say. I mean, it could be 51, it could be 52. You don't know,
Right.
I mean, but plus
But if
4,
it's 50-50,
but it could be.
who breaks the tie? Come on, we know that one. The vice president.
Vice President.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That I know.
So, I mean, you think of that. That would be really interesting because
How
that's a
powerful
possibility.
that
That's a
is.
real strong
Yeah,
possibility.
yeah.
Stronger than a 270. Tie up of the electoral vote. Depends because what they're saying is if you're going to vote Democratic on the presidential ballot, go with Republican to keep your checks and balances in place. So that sort of is an interesting when you're looking at these battleground states. That's a really interesting thing to watch because. Like you had Obama in office for 8 years, but they had no, that's why we couldn't get things
Absolutely.
passed through
Things done,
through the Senate. So so people talk about getting things done, but it's if you have a Republican president, but yet Democratic Senate, you have the same problem in the next 4 years trying to get something done.
But
So
they've been completely
I'm just
blue in
tossing
the
it out
past, and they've been gridlocked there too.
Yeah,
and
that's a
so
question out there. Anything?
and you're looking at the House of Representatives
they're like
staying
this
red.
way.
No, that's fine.
So imagine Trump as president and then a Democratic House and Senate.
That's
Talk
what I'm saying.
about the clash that
Right.
that will be and the name calling that'll go on.
Elizabeth Warren, watch out.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up a topic that's not necessarily about the electoral numbers and things of that nature, but like the social media aspect of this campaign and the
Live video.
fact checking. The fact that nobody's really relying on the New York Times or the Newsweek. They're getting a lot of other mainstream news bites. Things are coming through, and somebody
fake
said
stuff
today,
coming through.
"How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I saw it on Facebook." I'm like, so I mean, that has had a huge impact. And everything comes through like within seconds, and it spreads like wildfire.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's had a real impact on this election. And Mr. Trump is a television celebrity, so I think he knew how to play the media great, and I think that's had a huge impact on this campaign. And they spent, I think, a total of $1.2 billion on this campaign, primaries and presidential election. That's I think that with that money we could have fed every
Incredible. That's
hungry
hard-
mouth
that's hard
and
to
housed
even
every homeless
comprehend.
person. So
Do you have numbers on that? Because Trump got hundreds of millions of dollars in free press at the beginning.
Yeah.
Up until
Well,
So
he's a marketer.
He's a marketer.
And, a lot of races, every campaign and every initiative that we all do. I mean, look, we're marketing right now. You have to be a marketer. Every campaign is marketing. Every marketing plan is a campaign.
It's a war.
Everyone has a product, whether or not you actually come out with something tangible and you can hold it in your hand. And I don't know how many people want to hold Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton personally, but you don't get anything from it, but that's what you have free speech for. Those are dollars that people are pledging their free speech to contribute to. So that's another part of the conversation.
Let me ask you guys about an issue it's close to me and what would affect me, either president. Is, you hear Trump say, repeal Obamacare, get rid of it. He says it very simply. I don't hear details. I'm not sure what Hillary's doing, is she's doubling down on it. Where are we going with health care? Right down the line. Anybody care to?
Well,
it's huge.
I started when I was in public service. I really wanted to get in the healthcare paradigm and conversations, and that was in 2008. And Obama had it as one of his hallmarks. Bill Clinton had it as one of his hallmarks, one of the things he wanted to accomplish. So I saw the conversation starting, and it's transformed a lot. So I became a healthcare government affairs professional and helped states. And this is where we really go into sovereignty. You have a federal mandate, and then you have state sovereignty. So when he says you can either accept the federal plan or a state can do their own plans, that's when you see some failures. And there were some successes, and a lot of people did enroll. We had over a million people more in New York State enroll. Now, part of that process was actually getting people who are not even eligible for an exchange to actually say, oh, well, you're at a lower income, so you can apply for Medicaid. And that was not on the exchange, and it was no cost to them. But now we're seeing double-digit increases. So when a family is looking at out-of-pocket expenses, and then this year having some insurers pull out of those plans, that becomes problematic.
It's undoable.
But you don't want to. Once you start a stream of.
So, what's the solution, Kev?
I don't know. I have no idea. That's my question, and I'm putting it out. Comment here. I have no idea, and I don't think they have an idea. Well, it's just too big a Titanic to push. It's not happening next month. That I know.
Well, at least Hillary Clinton did come out and say that she's looking to understand it and improve on what is
in place.
What is in place.
Right. It's not perfect, but it's something.
It's not perfect. At least Obama started something. Listen, I remember when Hillary was starting to put this together under the Clinton administration and the challenges that she faced with that. Listen, Mitt Romney tried to do this in Massachusetts.
But he did it pretty well in Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
When you travel, in Italy, are people happy when they get sick?
All throughout Europe when I travel, people have no worries about health care. Now think about that. No worries. Whatever you feel, you go and you take care of it. We tend to think of that our quality of healthcare is always at the highest level. Listen, there are some brilliant doctors in Europe that are doing some great things. So the bottom line is nobody concerns about that. So when they hear us worrying about it, they can't comprehend why there's such a big deal of worrying about it. When in Europe, they just go and do it.
Because we're so damn unhealthy, we don't drink enough wine.
Well,
that's a very good point.
That's why.
But
their taxation is much different.
Well, look at the balance.
And their coverage and subsidies are much different. So I think when you're looking at a personal economy, we're exasperated, a lot of people in this country, because we're taxed really high. And we're taxed higher than people in Alabama. We're taxed higher than people in Florida.
In the state.
In this
state.
state.
In the country, but you meant New York State.
In this country or in this state, versus other states. So when you're looking at those discrepancies, we don't have an equal playing field. In the EU and in other not really other countries, but I'll just say in the EU, when you're looking at their level of taxation and their subsidies, including housing, that could be 60%. But are we willing to pay for that?
But nobody that I meet in Europe complains about that because they have endless health care. They've got an incredible retirement program. Their streets and their roads look fantastic. They have incredible support with education. College is free. There are so many things. If we were to really sit down and analyze the financial investment that we make, charge me 70%. And let me have none of the challenge. I've got 3 boys in college. This is intense. I've got healthcare I got to worry about. It really is. So if tax me more, but let me relax. Everyone in Europe is
See, I get taxed a lot, and I'm not relaxed.
Yeah, I think it's one of the other.
It's like a general statement.
If you had everything taken care of, you would be relaxed. If you weren't thinking about healthcare, if you weren't thinking about things, everything is crystal clear, and they guide through. When they retire, you have a child, you're off for a year with a child, you get paid to have children. My gosh, it's an incredible mentality.
Guys, I think we're going to take a break because I want to get some numbers, and I hope everybody's enjoying this. I mean, it's a change from Quis Cuomo, right?
Chris,
I've been watching
who's that?
CNN for the last 2 years. Now I'm watching ourselves. That's good. So let's take a break, Corey, right?
Chris is great.
Right.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com. Hi everyone, we're here at the Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage
Yes.
in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to
Look at
that.
this. Beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the
This
real
is not a
deal
green screen. This
behind
is the
us.
real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is, I like margaritas. That doesn't mean I'm voting that way. We'll see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see.
I might
about
have
you,
something
kid?
else to drink. I don't even know.
That's right. I usually drink beer. So who's our guest tonight?
We have a couple, actually. We have Leslea Snyder, who's a former trustee and former aide for Governor Cuomo.
Okay.
She is
fantastic
a
knowledge.
political wonk. She knows everything about anything political. So she's going to be able to help us with the, closely contested races, both, in New York State, locally, throughout the country.
Excellent.
So, she's going to be a real guru. She's the specialist. That's why I asked her to come.
Right. And then the famous, and I do mean that in every way, Dom Famularo, the drummer, the educated, the world traveler, who can add just such a realness to the world right now.
Yeah, well, because I think, one of the things I think we should be talking about is the impact that this election season has had
Right
on us.
here.
Well, locally, as a society, and Dom, I think he's going to bring that to the table because he's such a touchdown for me. The guy
Absolutely.
is just like so spiritually connected and motivational. So I love to hear anything that man has to say.
So we'll be live at 7:30. By
Live
that
at
time, we'll
7:30.
be well past, hopefully, the rhetoric, because the rhetoric's over. This is the due day.
Yep.
We might even know who's ahead. It's going to be fun. We're going to make it fun, and I look forward to it.
It's
I really
either going to
do.
be a really
Couldn't
long
be a better
night
person to
or
be
it's
with
going to be a
tonight.
short night.
Absolutely.
We shall see.
Look forward to it. I'll see you tonight, 7:30, Facebook Live. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse.
We are back. Got a drink of water. Got some numbers. and got some questions from our live audience. Our live audience is here, and they have a question. So let's take your question, guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, we're wondering why some states allow early voting. Is there a particular criteria?
So the question was, why do some states, and this is probably something you can answer best, why do some states allow early voting? I thought it was all, but it's some states.
Well, I know. Well, we don't have it here.
We don't. No.
I didn't know that.
No, we don't.
Early voting or write-in voting?
No, early voting, going to your polling place, and
Gotcha.
Right.
So-
Some states they'll have it 2 weeks out.
Okay.
yeah, 15 days ahead.
Well, that was really interesting that time because let's face it, the FBI thing came out, people voted, and then I'm going to add on a question to that question:
Yes.
were people actually able to change their vote?
In a few states, they were
a great
actually
question.
able to change their vote because, just like an absentee ballot, that is, for me, early voting sometimes are absentee ballots. You can vote, send it in. There's a deadline for them to come in as well. They'll count them after. And especially for our military personnel, they have to if they're overseas.
Right.
So that is determined on a state level, and that could be a ballot initiative as well. So state ballot initiatives are very important. When we didn't have any in Port Jeff this year, but you could look at that. But in the state of Maine, they actually had early voting after the FBI news came out that they were reopening the investigation. The Department of State said you can actually go back and get it because they weren't open yet, so they weren't counted. So, that could be
You
an
have any
issue
idea how
for
many
me.
people did that?
How many people in that state did it?
No one would know, right? That would be closed. Right?
I would imagine that would be
Well, you could
public
get-
knowledge.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get the data, but
Absolutely.
I'm sure it
no
would.
doubt.
But they did offer it because people did ask. So if it's not counted and it's not opened, you can actually just hand it back to the person.
Says, how many times can you change it in early voting? They thought you could change it more than once.
The question is, how many times could it be changed?
That I don't know. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, even with Maine, that had to be, an official action to actually allow voters to retrieve their ballots so that they can change them. So maybe they felt it was an extraordinary circumstance.
Thanks, guys. So I'm going to go right down the line.
I have a much more important question.
What is it?
Oh no, people are asking me today, how come they didn't get "I voted" stickers?
Yes.
I was like, I had no, Suffolk County Board of Elections. You got to, but it was a big thing. Everybody
It
wanted
was
their
a
"I
very-
voted" stickers, like
I
your
wanted
little
one.
Because it's digital
piece of
now.
recognition. So
It's digital now.
No. Everybody had,
No.
a lot of people got
In New
little
York City, a
stickers
lot
they
of them
put on,
did.
and it was, a nice thing to see that people, they tagged.
Is that the county?
Yeah, it's Suffolk County.
We're broke. we're $400 million in
Who's going to
debt.
pay for that? It's expensive, and we didn't budget
That's
for
not
it.
a laughing matter. That's the truth.
It is
my
true.
youngest,
Mr. Ballone is tuned in. He knows that.
My youngest son, Maxwell, was his first year of voting, 18 years old. He came in, he was so proud. He did the research, he studied, he's very actively involved. And at his school, he gets some kind of a recognition that if he voted, so here he is taking a selfie in front of the, to try to get the ballot to make this outside the building. He did it outside the building. He's taking a selfie where it says, just so he can show the school what happened. But that was a big thing at Margot because it really was important for these kids to kind of let them show that they were involved.
The other thing is a lot of parents took their children to the polls too. So it was kind of like, a great thing to see, moms and dads in there with their kids.
Absolutely.
And, and it's kind of like, I think I do recall going with my mom when I was maybe 4 years old to vote in Massachusetts. And seeing the pictures today kind of brought that back. Because you kind of don't. It's a big day. So you want to get your little sticker. You feel like a kid again.
And it had an
Came out and
impact
feel
on you.
good, right?
That's right.
So
Mayor
it-
Garant, it had a good impact.
I'm just saying.
If
People
our
are
count-
asking me today, "Where's my sticker?" And I said, "I am not in charge." Finally,
It's the county. So you know what? If our county executive is actually tuning in, then maybe we want to increase our
Think
budget
about that,
we
Steve.
don't have.
Please,
I don't
Mr.
know. Or
Ballone.
maybe we can tax Don a little bit more, and Dom can actually pay for all our stickers next time.
Oh, man.
If I'm going to
De
get
Blasio
results,
got it.
tax me. If we can get more results, tax me. If things are going to be better for my children, tax me. I will work as hard as I can for future generations. Just make it better.
right?
But
Don't
what
waste
if you
it.
don't like the
Don't
high
waste it.
turnout numbers, and then you're not going to want a sticker, and you don't think it's better for your family? If it goes the other direction,
Sure does.
we know
It sure
one
does.
thing: there's
It's
going to be at
simple
least
things in life,
45% of some population, maybe the entire United States population, that's just going to be unhappy tomorrow.
All right, Leslea, give us
Optimism.
give us before you give us where we are right now, because I know you have this real time. You're amazing.
I do?
What to exit
behind
polls come from? I mean, when I hear
People
the early
leaving,
exit polls, How scientific is it, is what I'm asking.
Well, it really depends. So there are several different parameters you can follow. I mean, people could be outside of voting booths and
elect to say
and ask
optionally,
how did you feel? Who did you vote for? Why did you vote for this person? And they will say, I just can't vote for him, and I just can't vote for her, or whatever.
And they literally tally that up, and then
and that'll be one kind of census. The other ways are they can look at the voter registrations. So if they see it, absentee ballots are the same thing, and that's how you can project. If you look, and pretty much if you're doing poll watching, and each party has their poll watchers out, they'll look at the lists and find out how many registered Democrats came out in an election district, and obviously you can have a lot in a county. So you look at the election districts, you look at the voter turnout. Mm-hmm. So if early voting before 8 a.m., 300 Republicans were out, 100 Democrats were out, and 40 blanks came out, and 5 independents came out. Then you can kind of say, okay, well, right, maybe we'll look at midday. And so they'll chart it out, and they really look at which party voter registrations came out. So they can look at it that way. But the exit polls, when they actually have real time saying, they're so angry, especially with the primaries, and how'd you vote in the primaries? Those are real people just asking questions to voters that came out.
But it's a
news agency?
One company, I think it's a New Jersey-based company, and they have a certain number of areas where they'll go and collect the data. It's not just at random. So it's actually good data that's coming in.
Right.
And they'll have PDAs. I mean, they have formats on it.
Right.
I think they're all
right
standardized questions.
It's 8:16. We are live. What does it look like right now?
So right now we have a lot of states that are really the bellwether states. So we're looking for Ohio, Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, all the polls that close by 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So depending on their counties and how
still
that's
at 68
coming in.
to 48, and numbers are trickling in behind us.
Yeah, you have the TV behind me, so.
All right, let's move over to a different subject. Immigration from the World Traveler. You wanted to say a few words.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, Kevin, because we really have, listen, the pilgrims for religious freedom, this country is built on this concept of we welcome everyone. And it's been very difficult to watch the challenges that we have had with the discussion of immigration and the refusal of certain religions and the disrespect to certain religions. There has been this real, dark cloud that has come over what America is about. I mean, our Statue of Liberty holds the book that states, bring us your hungry and poor. I mean, we really have to understand that that's what we built on. I go back to my parents were born here. My grandparents came from Italy. They came here. They had nothing. They had nothing. When people speak about the glass half empty or the glass half full, my grandparents taught us, be grateful you have a glass and understand that that's what America is about. You have an opportunity to then fill it up to the degree that you want it to fill it up. We can't forget that in the contentiousness of what has happened with this incredible past 18 months.
But each one of those immigrants that came, they were not treated correctly.
They
went through something.
They had their obstacles. They sure had their obstacles. But they became stronger to realize that if I earn my right in this country, that's the big thing that these immigrants had.
So the people that want to isolate and not take refugees and are very strong about that, they're feeling what? Are they feeling that something's being taken away from them?
Absolutely, and there are many people that I have met in my travels that say I'm a little afraid to go to America right now because I don't exactly know what the future is entailed for me to experience what can be better than what I have now. There's some real balances that this election is really going to be able to telltale how welcome America remains as it always has been.
Right. Good.
I don't know.
We're going to talk to you, Margot, about gun laws, gun violence, and your position on that.
Well, I learned a lot this election season, and one of the things that I think struck me was I believe the need for new gun reform legislation. We have a lot of gun violence.
That's my clock. It'll go off. Hit the snooze button. Sorry.
33,000 Americans are killed each year in this country from one form or another of gun violence. Over 300 people a day. And we just, I think we really have to look at, to tightening some things up. If you're on the terrorist list and you can't fly, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. Some really basic things I think we all agree on. I think that when they took a census poll, I think this is the one issue that most people agreed on around the country, because it's not about taking your right to carry an arm or firearm or to have a gun. It's about really looking at maybe domestic violence. If you have a felony domestic violence, you maybe and you have a firearm, maybe that firearm is taken away from you. We really kind of have to look. I think we have to look at that. I mean, we have had some terrible massacres. Automatic weapons. We really, as a community and a country, really need to look at this. And I think you need a strong federal legislation. The states can opt in, opt out, but I think that here in New York, I think we've taken some really strong strides in that direction. I watched a very powerful documentary, Awake Five Awake, and it was about what the 5 women did down in the state of Louisiana. A very telling, moving documentary, and I think whatever the outcome of this election, I'd really like to look a lot more at that particular issue. And I just don't want to have Newtown, the movie played in a couple theaters last couple Wednesdays across country. We just don't want to see anything ever like that happen in our community. And God bless us all. I mean, it could.
Absolutely.
It could. And the one thing I will say, we're dealing here in Port Jefferson, the homeless community, working with Suffolk County Mental Health, Department of Mental Health, and really working on that population. I want somebody to finally address, mental health, drug addiction, mental health, and really look at that as, if I have a sore back, I can go to the doctor and I can go to the chiropractor, twice a week and get that covered. If I need therapy, I need help with that. We need more help in the medical field for these depression, for drug addiction. And I really, I'm going to advocate that. I'm doing a lot here in the village for the kids in the community, and I think that that's one area that we really, as it's just a community.
Yeah,
Americans, we need to.
Is anybody in this panel that has a Ted Nugent type of vibe on this? That everything is all out there. Like polar opposite of what Margot's saying. Anybody that's like really pro-gun?
First of all,
machine guns, everything. I just want to ask.
I'm in the music industry, and let's clarify the fact that Ted Nugent, as a musician, is really got some really weird views.
They're extreme.
Some really weird views.
I don't think there's none of us on this panel are.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure Don was, maybe he's...
As a musician, I want to separate myself from
else.
Ted Nugent. I want Ted Nugent to be over there. I'm way over there.
I'm giving you the extreme for a reason, because I'm wondering where the middle is. I'm doing that for a reason.
An assault weapon. I mean, listen, Sandy Hook, how close was that Connecticut to us where we are in Port Jeff? We felt the wave of that shock.
Definitely.
We felt the wave.
Devastating.
A student of mine is a state trooper in Connecticut. He was one of the first on the scene. And he still is having challenges when he walked in there and saw the carnage of these children. That weapon, there's a great commercial that's on television about gun control where a guy walks in with an old musket, and he walks into an office, and people are in the office, and he shoots his musket. And everyone's running around and screaming, yelling, and he's got to take out the gunpowder. He puts the gunpowder in, he's popping down the neck. And they just said, isn't it time, since the guns have changed, isn't it time for the laws to change? These assault weapons, there is absolutely no need to own this to any level. It's a military weapon. What, were you going to shoot deer with this thing?
I don't think he's aligning with Ted Nugent on this issue. So
I knew that.
I don't think we have to go to extremes. I think, Margot, you had a really good point. Yeah. I think there's a mental health crisis.
Absolutely.
That there's a mental health stigma. People don't get treatment. They don't want to tell their families or their communities that their loved ones have mental health crises. And I think that we have to be a lot more open about that. Now, I come from a family that's a Second Amendment family. Yeah. They're gun advocates. They're gun enthusiasts. They've actually gone into training. They're extremely responsible gun owners. So if they have, more than 7 rounds in, their 9mm, which is pretty obvious, those clips they exist. If one of my relatives has, 50 bullets.
Do you think that there's an obligation? I'm not saying you can't.
I think people can be a collector, and I think they can be responsible gun owners, and I think the carnage that we're seeing are not done by responsible owners.
I
think if you see the gang violence and the drugs and all the other illegal gun usage and how they obtain it.
And let's have a background check to find out who these.
But then
these
again, are we going to also outlaw pressure cookers that we find in Chelsea? Because you're going to find bad people that want to do bad things.
Right. But again, you're taking this.
But you're using a vehicle.
You're taking something that I'm just saying. We need to look at the current legislation. We just say.
I think you can legislate from here to the moon.
Can I finish?
There are going to be bad people that want to do bad things.
Where you're
I
about
agree
to
with
go,
that,
you
but-
two, and I want you to keep going. That's where the quagmire is, and that's why nothing's been done. I just want to say there's been a shooting in Los Angeles as we're speaking at a polling location. 2 are dead, unfortunately.
Yep, in California.
Well, I mean, so
So go ahead.
So we're not talking about the responsible gun owner. We're talking about if you're a responsible gun owner, then you should have your weapon locked up when it's home, so that your child cannot get their hands on your weapon and possibly take their head off, or their sister's head off, or their mother's head off. And then we're also talking about having, trying to limit the number of guns that are in the hands of felons and or people who have, some sort of mental illness. Now you'll see that a lot of the crime that happens here in New York State, the crime, have past convictions. The weapon is actually from another state.
Right.
So it's not an easy thing to tackle, but we have to start somewhere. And I think that that's a conversation. I think it's a tough conversation, but I think it's something that has to happen. And I think that this is the one issue like 80% of the people across the nation agreed. So how do we get there? That's what that's the thing. No matter who gets into office tomorrow, I think that they have to be committed to working together to get some of these things done. I think that that's why people are frustrated. We kind of I think we all want to get things done. We want more jobs. We want a better economy. We want to limit, the number of deaths by gun and violence. But how do we get there? And I think that as long as we have these types of divides, we're not going to help ourselves get there. So I just hope for a better tomorrow. That's,
healing. We need a healing after this. Again,
and
back
I
to the
think
divorce.
mental health has a
parents.
lot to do with it.
We're going to heal. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Well, I will say that a lot of the funding for our mental health, all the clinics, the funding was taken away.
Yes.
So it's really hard to do more with less. And so,
Yes.
you talk about taxation, you talk about putting that money to work to help people. When you don't have money for the agencies, you can't get that work done for people. So it's a discussion that has to happen. And again, I think that what we wanted to see was people who would get into office, no matter what side of the aisle, get something done. I think that's.
And I think that's really where it comes down to the local level as well. We can't look to the federal government to solve all our problems.
So you want to privatize mental health facilities?
No, I'm not advocating
Is that
for
a
either.
possibility?
I think there could be a nice hybrid approach.
Okay.
I think, having mental health courts instead of, not going through the justice system by diverting them into mental health facilities, which is very expensive. We can appeal by health plan waivers to the federal government to say, look, instead of incarcerated individuals leaving with a mental illness, let's take them out, or an addiction. Let's take them out and get it paid for by Medicaid because they don't have a job to pay for this. They're not going to get on a health exchange. And if you take them out for 24 hours and treat them for drug addictions or other things, those things have been happening in Vermont. They happen even on the local level.
So let's talk a little bit more about the
and
local
that's
level. What's happening in New York State?
Yeah, I mean, New York State did some really profound, wonderful things this year with the opioid and heroin task force. They took reports from assembly members. They took reports from Senate task force committees. The governor did his own. And together, in a bipartisan way, with 3 different chambers, the Senate, Assembly, and the governor's office and the health department as one of his agencies, OASIS, which is the addiction and mental health. They're really incorporating mental health addiction services, and they're walking the walk, and they put money in the budget, a lot of money.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
the key word
and they're going to
our local senator was really inspiring.
bipartisan, and
They work
they
together.
flow it down, working with our very local elected officials.
Yeah.
And that's really,
But this year, heroin overdoses were paramount. Still.
Suffolk County was the epicenter. We see other places in Southern Tier and other places in New York State that are hard hit. But it's sad.
And did you know that gun violence is up 28% in Suffolk County?
Mm-hmm. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it's
that,
just
but I knew it was up.
Yeah. So
We're going to do another break, and then we're
Okay.
going to come back, and we're just going to
Maybe get
have a
some
good
more
time.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get some numbers.
Thanks. Yeah. Good.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hey guys, it's Kevin Wood with the Port Jeff Pulse with a message for all businesses and organizations. Your business or organization should be on our show, portjeffpulse.com and all over social media. There is a very unique way in which we approach your story, whether you've been in business for 6 months or 60 years. A print ad or even a commercial can't do what we can do to really highlight your business to the public in a way that lasts forever. So I encourage you to find out more. Contact us at portjeffpulse.com. Hit the contact tab, and we'll get right back to you. I really look forward to having you on the Port Jeff Pulse. Hi everyone, we're here at the Port Jeff Pulse in the morning session. And Margot, tonight is very exciting because we're doing a Facebook Live election coverage in the good old beautiful Danfords Hotel and Marina.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Beautiful. This is not, what did you say, a green screen? This is the real deal.
This is not a green screen, this is
behind
the
us.
real deal. But tonight we'll be in front of probably a TV monitor down in the Wave restaurant where they'll be serving 2 drinks to accurately get a feel for the vote tonight. They're going to serve Trumptinis and Hillaritas.
Oh, nice.
And the thing is, I like margaritas. That doesn't mean I'm voting that way. We'll see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. We'll see.
I might have something else to drink. I don't even know.
That's right. I usually drink beer. So who's our guest tonight?
We have a couple, actually. We have Leslea Snyder, who's a former trustee and former aide for Governor Cuomo.
Okay.
She is a political wonk. She knows everything about anything political. So she's going to be able to help us with the closely contested races, both, in New York State, locally, throughout the country.
Excellent.
So, she's going to be a real guru. She's the specialist. That's why I asked her to come.
Right. And then the famous, and I do mean that in every way, Dom Famularo, the drummer, the educator, the world traveler, who can add just such a realness to the world right now.
Yeah, well, because I think, one of the things I think we should be talking about is the impact that this election season has had
right
on us.
Here.
Well, locally, as a society, and Dom, I think he's going to bring that to the table because he's such a touchstone for me. The guy is just like so spiritually connected and motivational. So I love to hear anything that man has to say.
So we'll be live at 7:30. By
Live
that
at
time, we'll
7:30.
be well past, hopefully, the rhetoric, because the rhetoric's over. This is the due day.
Yep.
We might even know who's ahead. It's going to be fun. We're going to make it fun, and I look forward to it.
It's
I really
either going
do.
to be a really
Couldn't
long
better
night
person to
or
be
it's
with
going to be a
tonight.
short night.
Absolutely.
We shall see.
Look forward to it. I'll see you tonight, 7:30, Facebook Live.
Guys, we're back. We're back for our last segment. Thanks for sticking with us. I can see that you've shared great things with us. We've gotten to some of your questions. Want to shout out to Steve McKenna of Dan's Papers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the media sticking with us. We will do more of these. I don't know what subject we'll do, but it's been fun. We're gonna check in with some latest numbers with Leslea soon, but we had another question from our audience.
What does the panel think about the Senate's reluctance or resistance to vote on Obama's Supreme Court nominee?
Senate's reluctance
Yeah.
to resistance. I'm just trying to repeat the question.
Refusal to vote on President Obama's Supreme Court nominee.
Did you get that question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so disappointing
pretty
because the president brought in a wonderful moderate that I think would have been wonderful to have the country unite in planting the seeds for the future. And the fact that our Senate decided not to act on this is totally against what the Constitution is about and what their responsibilities are. This was upsetting. Massively
Yeah.
upsetting.
I agree.
Okay.
Just I want to move.
Move.
You know.
We're moving.
Yeah.
Listen,
moving.
with the intensity of what's gone on with this election, and what's gone on with how the Congress and Senate, they have the lowest, rating. They have like a 9% approval rating. That's a 91% disapproval rating. I mean, come on, work. You're paid to work. This term limits. Can we do the term limits?
Yeah.
Holy
That's
mackerel.
a whole nother topic.
This
Let's go there,
whole,
let's go there.
Term limit.
This whole contentiousness of this entire 18 months of what has gone down. This makes the House of Cards look like a documentary. I mean, give me a break.
Read
Let's
about
work.
George Washington, who wanted to go back, and he wanted to go back and farm, and they pushed him. Right? You probably know this. They pushed him to rerun.
Absolutely.
But he wanted to do that, and he was the last thing he said too was about the political parties was going to ruin us in the future.
Well, if the president's limited to 2 terms, why aren't
Why
the
isn't
other
anybody
guys?
else? Yeah.
You know, I
Why
don't
aren't
know.
they?
Do you know? Have any idea?
Are you talking about term limits now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really feel like elections are term limits.
Ooh, I like that. That's
Silence.
So
I don't want to call the voters
Then what did Washington say?
ill-informed
when
enough not to make a good choice. I want to think about the potential of the voter and say if they want someone to stay in more than 2 terms, they should have the opportunity
even the
to vote.
presidency?
Yeah, I do.
You believe in that? Gosh,
I'm a purist.
That's a purist. I like that.
But that goes against
I like
what
the
our
thinking
forefathers-
if it was perfect,
Our forefathers did.
but it's not perfect.
But I have to tell
So
you,
why
I mean,
can't the president run forever?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm not quite sure that I want somebody else, a bureaucrat, telling me that my decision, my choice, isn't valid. That they think more of it.
So the forefathers are what
They're
they
smarter than
decided.
me. I don't want them calling me stupid.
Well,
I'm not smart
I don't know
enough
who's
to
calling
make
you
a
stupid.
choice
But
to vote in someone else in another term. I want some people with experience. Margot, you started the conversation with saying Trump doesn't have experience. Hillary does. Well, then why do I want people termed out and I have to vote someone new? If I can't vote someone,
No, I'm just
term,
wondering why is the president termed out at 2 terms and the other seats are not? So I'm going to go home and read all about that, and because I don't know the answer right now.
I did a great exercise in my travels, my global travels, because I travel so much. I started to read
I'm gonna look it up.
3 different books on each president. And I started with Washington, and I tried to find a book that was written around the time when he was living, a book that was written about 100 years after he had died, and then a book that was written recently. So I read 3 books on each president all the way through. And it was interesting to see how these great statesmen started out as statesmen and how slowly in time as I read, they became politicians only concerned about their constituency. And it was an interesting study as I read these books to kind of see how the change of what our republic was turning into. So I think there's got these
It's
forefathers.
actually the 22nd Amendment. It was voted in 1947, passed by Congress,
Oh, you looked it up.
and ratified by the states in February 27, 1951. The 22nd Amendment limits an elected president to 2 terms in office, a total of 8 years. However, it is possible for an individual to serve up to 10 years as president. So that was a decision that was made not too long ago to limit the presidency
I
to
think
2
we
terms.
had a New York president that served 3 terms, didn't we?
Delano Roosevelt. I mean, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I mean, he
Yeah, but that
came
was-
in. But at that time, that's when they made the change. And let me tell you something. I think Washington had a pretty good overview of what these.
I
guys
agree. I agree.
And then we also find races where voters become fatigued. And that's why we have so many changes. I mean, if people wanted one party in the presidency, they'd continue to do that. This is going to be one of those historic years where, 2 terms of one party, and then it flips. We may not see that. We may.
Let's bring it down to the local level on the voting. Margot, you have any numbers of people like Senator Laval? How's he doing?
Oh, well,
Speaking
I believe
about-
Senator Laval is going to probably win by 65 to 70% of the...
He's right upstairs. Don't say that.
Why?
Because he wants to
wants
see
more?
his numbers at least in the 70s.
I said at least 65 to 70%.
Played his backcourt.
He's a great guy. Kevin, what's
Yeah.
interesting is, as I've had the chance in the parking committee here on our wonderful village
That's
here
huge.
to work with the mayor here, and I have never seen anybody work as hard as our mayor for our community. The amount of hours that it takes, the amount of dedication, the fiscal awareness that she has.
I know
and how
Margot as
she
good as
works.
everybody. She plays hard and works hard.
Absolutely, but she
It's a
makes
good
it happen,
balance.
and that shows the local government really working hard. It's about people. People do this, and you need good people like we have with Mayor Margot Garant here to really make change.
Sounds like an endorsement.
That's what's happening. She's making change. It takes people. It's people. We're people. We're just people
We're just people.
who need to understand the bigger image of what America is about.
Thanks, Tom.
And just to clarify, remember, you're saying that, we have all this debt on the U.S. level and we can print money. Localities cannot. States, by Constitution, have to manage their budgets.
Yes.
And they have to balance their
Well,
budget.
yep.
And that's very important. So you do that hard work because you have to, and you're very thoughtful about it, and your constituents can find you any time of the day.
Right.
So you're very accessible as well. So, that there's that difference on the
These are the trenches.
federal space and
Absolutely.
the state and local spaces.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Where are we? Anything new to report?
Yeah,
Because we're going
as
to
of
wrap this up, guys.
8
Oh, by the way, we
o'clock.
didn't. Our candidates are in back of us. They're both smiling for some reason. No, one's got a smug smirk. Hillary's smiling. But again, a little commercial break here. Danfords, thank you so much. Danfords
thank you.
Hotel and
Yeah.
Marina.
Yeah.
We are looking at the North Shore. Thanks to my production crew. Really amazing. Thank you, guys. Thanks to my audience.
We have the great view of the water here. It's
Our
beautiful,
audience.
yeah.
And one more. I don't think we have a decisive anything,
we
right?
don't right now, but we do know one thing, and that is the U.S. House of Representatives will remain in Republican control. So right now it's 235 to 200. So that's what they're projecting with the electoral wins. Hillary Clinton has 75. Trump has 72.
Oh, we have somebody stealing Trump.
Someone's stealing Trump.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh my God.
Oh, did I grab him inappropriately?
Where are his hands?
Hey, you're a celebrity. You have that right.
That's right. And then we have, as of 8 p.m., we have several states in 16 states and D.C., and Hillary is the projected winner. Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island. Too close to call is Florida, unless it's behind me. And then Donald Trump has Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. And
Yep.
And Florida.
New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Those are the ones we really have to look for, as well as Ohio.
Do you have a prediction?
Do I have a
Do
prediction?
you have a prediction? I know you know.
I have a prediction. We're going to have a New Yorker as the president of the United States.
Good answer.
Boy, now that's a politician speaking.
Very good. Very good.
And
Well,
then
guys,
we'll go
That's a
through it.
diplomat.
this was an experiment just like this Republic is an experiment that keeps going. I really thank you all for participating. I think it's the perfect panel. We'll do something again soon.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Thanks for tuning in,
Thank
audience.
you.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Go for it. Make sure you vote and move this forward. Yeah.
Yeah, keep voting.
Opening early.
That was
You say.
Did you have fun?